Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dave, and somewhere around me is Scott. Welcome to Old Ass Movie Review. Today we are reviewing the 1934, which I consider a classic, The Thin Man, starring. I said William Powell and Myrna Loy.
Oh my God! What a pair! What a pair!
Real quick, they were in a movie called Manhattan Melodrama, I think is what it was called, with Clark Gable before they did this movie together. And evidently the director, when he was putting this movie together, oh my God, can you hear that? Is that coming through?
It's okay. It's all right. It adds a little ambiance to the show.
Yeah, when the director was trying to put the movie together, he said he wanted Powell and Loy. He wanted to tag team them because he liked what he saw. He liked what they did in the other movie. And I'm not sure which was. It wasn't Warner, but it was one of the big directors and big producers of the time who said, "No, you can't. You can't have Myrna Loy. We'll give you Powell. I see how Powell can do it. He's done the detective kind of thing before. Not going to give you Myrna Loy." And evidently, this director either caused such a fuss or he just said, "Oh, okay," and went and got her anyway and did it.
I'm so glad he did.
Yeah. And the producer came to the director and was like, "Okay, yeah, you got it. You did good job," kind of thing. And that led to 6 more films. I think it's a 7-film run. Started in 34 wow. and ended in 45 or 47, I think. The last film they did together, I won't bring anybody down, but his wife had died or his girlfriend had died, and he was very depressed. And Myrna Loy was they were such good friends. She pulls him over and says, "Look, we got to do this movie. You have to get out of your own shell."
Yeah.
And so she helped him, I guess, with a lot of grief. But they were very good friends. Dashiell Hammett story, which I'm always shocked every time I realize that it was a Dashiell Hammett story. I've not read the book, but evidently it is very close to the same type of banter that he did in the book, because there was an interview with Dashiell Hammett where he compared Powell and Loy, Nick Charles and Nora Charles, the characters, to him and one of his on-again, off-again girlfriends, with the banter and the fun and the drinking. And that's kind of what he made the characters out of. And I thought that was very interesting for Dashiell Hammett to open up that much. I mean, if you know anything about Dashiell Hammett, was a tough guy, tough as blades, man. And he's the one who wrote The Maltese Falcon. It's one of his many books. And this movie, for me, the first time I saw it, I freaking died laughing, because it is so, in today's climate, it seems to be politically incorrect, but it's not really when you really look at the big picture.
No, that's one of the things that got me. I did laugh out loud multiple times.
Yeah.
Because it's the humor's, I guess you could consider it dry and very sarcastic. And like when we watched His Girl Friday, also mean. And it's funny, and it's because their timing, Myrna Loy and William Powell's timing is just perfect. And I believe them as a couple throughout the whole thing.
Definitely.
And just the little, I mean, it starts off right off the bat when he introduces the dog before his wife. and the way he does it, right now he's playing. And they just they're stabbing each other throughout the whole thing. And it's just, it's funny.
And that's the beauty of this movie. And it was odd to do back then, where they showed a couple that loved each other and actually liked being around each other. And they were equals. They were basically equal partners.
Oh, yeah.
Even more rare today. I would double dog dare anybody in Hollywood to write a movie script like this, where the husband and wife actually love each other and like to hang out together and like to have fun. It doesn't exist now. That's the problem. That's a problem in Hollywood.
One of many.
They need to get their heads out of their ass. Period. But that's a whole nother subject. This movie actually did that very well for the time.
Yes.
I mean, it's great because Myrna Loy's character keeps trying to get her husband to help the cops to find out who murdered this guy or where this man is, because they're not sure whether he's been murdered. There's murders going on, and she's trying to figure out, trying to get him back into it because he was a detective and he quit being a detective. And he finally decides, so I forgot what happens, but something clicks in his head where he's like, I'm going to find out what's going on. And I think I already know, but I gotta find out for sure. And it's months. I guess they're in New York for a few months because this is kind of going on and on. And finally, he's gonna go find out. He's going somewhere. I think this is when he's going to the guy's shop to look around. And she's decided, no, I don't want you to go, because it's dawned on her that he can get hurt. And he's like, no, don't worry about me, darling. I'm going to be just fine. And he's got his gun, he's got the dog, he's got his whiskey in his bottle, and his jacket. He's ready to go. He's going to go do things. And the amount of alcohol to change subject very quickly. The amount of alcohol these two drink is mind-numbing, and I want to see a couple like that again in a movie because it's so brilliant. It's so good.
When we first see them together at dinner. At the beginning, she's like, "How many have you had?" He says 6, and she's waiter. I'll take 6 and just line them right on up, or whatever. Five more from the ones that she had, but she was matching him,
and that was like, give me 5 more, line them up.
Right then, that whole scene showed so much about those two characters, and it was this is interesting. This whole movie is a whodunit. But it's interesting how it starts off. I'm waiting for the sleuthing and the detecting to go on. But what you get is a necessary backstory and buildup of all these characters. And this is, as you said, I did not realize this is going to go on for 6 more movies or something like that. So this is a perfect setup for the very beginning. I know everything about the Charleses and Nick and Nora, and I believe them as somebody who would be going around solving mysteries and stuff like that.
All I can say for anybody who hasn't seen The Thin Man, watch The Thin Man first before you watch any of the other movies, because it does set up all the other movies, and they just get better. Nowadays, when you go see a sequel and a sequel and a sequel, by the 3rd or 4th sequel, you're like, this sucks. What did they do? Why are they're terrible. That never happens in these movies, in my opinion. In my opinion, these movies are always Nick and Nora going and doing Nick and Nora things. Even after they have a kid, they actually wind up having a child. And the kid kind of hangs out with them a little bit at one point. But it's just so funny. And they've got to get the kid off to the side. The kid's going to military school. And it's just so funny how Nick Charles loves this little kid, but the little kid's always getting him into shit. It's
and I
so
can see
good.
that.
It's just
I can
really
see
well
that.
done. Usually even today, when you put a kid in after the adults are doing adult things and all of a sudden you have a kid, they ruin the movies and they're just not that entertaining.
Usually the cause of everything that went wrong.
Yeah, like the little blonde-haired kid that showed up in the Brady Bunch and it just went to hell.
You going to diss Cousin Oliver from the Brady Bunch?
That kid, every time he showed up in a series, it got canceled. That poor kid. And yet he did the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Well, you would think they would have learned. You don't bring in the cousins like you didn't on the Dukes that just didn't, Coy and Vance or whatever the hell their name was. And it's like, what the hell?
But in this case,
no cousins.
Doesn't even hurt it. The little kid is actually, you're like, what are they going to do with the kid? You're questioning like things like, where's the kid? What's going on? But it's very funny. And Myrna Loy, oh my God, she's so adorable when she scrunches up her nose. Like, that gets me every time I see her do it. It's like, oh, that's adorable. Oh, Myrna Loy.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And of course, you got Powell, who's just I want to be that guy. I want to be that cool.
He was very cool.
He doesn't want to be involved in this. He does not want to be involved in this until that guy shows up at his house. And I'll let you take it away, because this is the movie I was telling you about one time. We had done a movie, and I was trying to explain The Thin Man, at least that scene, to you. And you were looking at me like, that's not going to be funny. So I got to ask you, what did you think about that scene when the guy pulls the gun? But he does it for the right reason. And when
he does it for the right reason, but what he does is he hauls off and punches his wife to get her out of the way, so she does. But when you know these characters, it was. I forget exactly what she said. She's like, "You didn't have to knock me out. I wanted to watch."
Yeah, yeah. She's like, well, "Yeah, I wish you wouldn't have knocked me out. I wanted to see you take him down."
She wasn't bothered so much that she got knocked out because he hit her. It's because she didn't get to see what was going on. It was funny, and that's we roll back just to Pal. Any other actor could have possibly made Nick Charles a little arrogant or. Very easily. Pal rides that line right there where he's not an asshole, and he's not looking down upon anybody. He is just he's got so much charm and charisma, but he's right there. Dude, he's so close to tipping over, and it's really great that he just delivers a great character, man.
And everybody loves him. The party, they're giving a party in New York. It's like their first or second night in New York. And you're seeing all these people at this party. He's got a couple of cops at the party, and then you see a couple of guys who don't quite fit in with cops, but they're in suits.
You see just how connected he is.
Yeah. And you're like, wait a minute, this guy is a gangster. And all these guys that are in his apartment are people that he arrested when he was a cop. And he sent them all away. I mean, he made sure they all went to prison.
That was so funny.
And the one guy comes in, hey, is Powell here? Or not Powell, he says, is Nick Charles here? And Myrna Loy says, yeah, come on in, it's a great party. And he says, hey, Nick, how are you? And then they introduce him as, I got this guy up the river for 5 years or something like that. Like, he's like, oh, no hard feelings. I needed the rest. And they're sitting there just bantering back and forth. And the guy, it was like the best thing that happened to the guy was Nick Charles putting him in prison.
I know, right?
Catching him and throwing him in jail. And everybody was like that. The cops loved him. The cops are like, hey, are you going to help us? No. Well, I should throw you in jail for that. No,
but they don't. But they don't. They show he's got everybody in his pocket. So that's what was necessary with the way this movie opened, is it just built this character. Now you don't know everything. You hardly know any, but you know enough to know kind of his connections and stuff. And it's so well played. I was surprised at how funny it was because sometimes humor from different time periods, this movie is almost 100 years old.
1934.
So humor's different, but not really. This made me feel, and this is probably because it's close to the time frame, I felt like a lot of the jokes are like we saw in Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
And that's, as an adult, you look back on those, it's like, oh, that's pretty damn smart. You see the wordplay, the double entendres and stuff. And
that's the word. It's smart. Yes. It's smart humor. It's not smart humor like, my IQ is at 210 and I'm going to tell you a joke. It's smart humor as in it's not as obvious, or it's obvious on several different levels, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
One is one way, one is the other. As a kid, you see one thing.
Yeah.
Like when he punches his wife. I don't know why I found that so damn funny when I saw it the first time.
Because it's shocking. You don't see it coming. But it's funny.
But you realize he couldn't push her out of the way. Because if he had pushed her, he'd have gotten shot in the back. Because where that bullet wound up hitting him, grazing him, had he gone to push her, he would have got one in through the side. So he knew how to get her out of the way. It's not his first choice, because as soon as he knocks the guy down and the cops come in, he runs over to his wife and he's like, oh my God, darling, are you all right? He's like, darling, are you all right? And that's when she's like, you didn't have to punch me, you big lug. I wanted to see you take him down.
Now, this is something I noticed while I was watching it. is this is what 1934? Is that one?
1934, yeah.
1934. Okay. Seeing how those two act, I just started to get a Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford, Karen Allen vibe from the first movie.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is interesting seeing something like that. And it just, that's not what I was thinking on. It's like, man, I want to see more adventure with these two because it just works.
There's, like I said, there's 7 movies. Any one of them are great. He did one that is not part of this, but it's called Our Man Godfrey.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you'd enjoy that one. That's another good one where he's kind of a know-it-all. He plays kind of the same character, but not exactly. But it's a good story. I like Our Man Godfrey. That's a really good one. But any of these, if you ever want to watch another Thin Man, I'll watch all of them with you because I love these characters. And Myrna Loy and him did so many movies together. I was just clicking through Prime the other night, just looking at all because I wanted to see how many. I couldn't remember how many movies there were. So I found a collection. I put it in my queue. I'll probably wind up buying it. But I found a ton of other movies that he and Myrna Loy were in together.
Oh, wow.
That were just like romantic comedies because they were such a good click.
They are, man. It works together. So well.
And Myrna Loy, I think when she first started, I think she was like a very much a serious actress. And then they found out she could do romantic comedies. Guess what, Myrna? You're going to be in romantic comedies now. And I was thinking the other day, you and I had done When Harry Met Sally.
Yeah.
And I was thinking of the chemistry between Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
And I started thinking they could pull something like this off. They could do a period piece along these lines, I think, even today, even for, I know Billy Crystal's older now, and so is Meg Ryan, but I think they could pull something like this off very easily.
Because they have that chemistry.
They do have that great chemistry together. And this movie is so damn funny. So damn funny. It's got so many plot twists. The first time I saw it, I kind of thought the one guy that winds up being found guilty, initially I was thinking it was him. And then I was like, no, how is it? Yeah, I couldn't figure out how it was going to work out that way. You know what I mean?
I do, because
it all makes sense. It all comes together.
It does come together. And I have to give credit to the writer, Dashiell Hammett, for this. I'm glad he spelled it all out because I was at a loss. I honestly thought it was going to be Dorothy. Just because that's how I would write it, to really flip the script. Yes.
Which, by the way, was Maureen O'Sullivan.
Yes.
I don't know if you're familiar with her, but she was a big actress back then.
Yeah.
I didn't even recognize her. She looked so young in this movie. And I'm reading the name and I was like, holy crap, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But that's me. Folks, I like old movies. So when I see an old name, I'm like, oh my God, that's them. Ned Pendleton was Lieutenant John Guild. It's the guy with the big chin.
Yeah.
He was in a couple of movies. He's in quite a few of these movies. If not the Thin Man series, movies like the Thin Man series, he usually played either a cop or a heavy. You know, he just looks that part. Who else was in this? Minna Gombell. Porter Hall was Herbert Macaulay.
Cesar Romero's in here.
That's who I was looking for. Cesar Romero, which I looked at Kat the other day and I was like, haha, I'm trying to be a smartass. I'm like, you know who that is? And I'm like, haha, I've got her. And she's like, well, it's the Joker. I was like, you're right. Can you give me the name? And she said, Cesar Romero. And I'm thinking in the back of my head, for whatever reason, it's Lamas. Like, no, that's oh no, you're right. Cesar Romero. It's like, son of a bitch. I had the right character, the right person, but the wrong name. And of course, he tells me it is like, Joe, you're right.
It was interesting seeing him, you know, and I'm watching this movie and very young, but I started to get Johnny Dangerously vibes. When I saw him, I thought of Danny Verman. And when I saw because Johnny Dangerously played up this time period so well, and this is a gorgeous movie. I mean, look at the outfits that people are wearing and everything. It's the car. It's well shot. It's well acted. I really enjoy it. I do want to take a second to just say something to our listeners out there.
Sure.
We are old ass movie reviews, and occasionally we do go almost 100 years or over on some of these old movies. Don't sleep on them. I always have an aversion, and I still struggle to go watch an old movie. And thankfully, Dave will push me into it, and it's like, oh, I gotta watch this. And every time I go kicking and screaming, I come out, damn, that was really good. And so it's working. Don't take a look at some of these that we've watched and recommended, because these are great movies. They hold up today. They're fabulous.
Yeah, thank you. They really are good. They are very underrated by today's audience.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is there's like a generation or two that have just forgotten storytelling.
Yeah.
They think the last 3 Star Wars are great movies. I don't get it. I can't, my mind cannot wrap around bad storytelling in somebody thinking it's great.
Mm-hmm.
These movies are freaking phenomenal.
They're good.
If you want to see a really good serious movie, Double Indemnity. It is a great movie. It's very, what's the word? Like spine tingling almost, for lack of a better term.
Very cool.
It makes you really hate the villain and really love and want to see the good guy triumph in that movie. And I highly recommend that to anybody.
We will have to put that in our queue for this year.
Oh yeah, I think I really do think you'll like it. I
probably will. I've liked everything you've recommended so far. So.
But all these old movies, these are all things I grew up on. I mean, I'm a little bit older than you, but I'm not sure how much older anymore, because I don't remember anybody's age. But I'm a little bit older
then you're quite a bit then.
I'm at least 20 years. 30 years older than you. That's okay. But I watched all old movies as a kid growing up. I mean, I had a little compact black and white TV that I would move around the house or wherever. Nobody was bothering me if I could. And I just watched these movies religiously. It's like I remember watching the old Godzilla movies on the 4 o'clock movie. I watched these because they'd have Gangster Week on the 4 o'clock movie. And you watch Gangster Week, you watch Sir Graves Ghastly for old spooky movies. These are things that I grew up with. And now I'm buying them because it seems like Hollywood is trying to do away with discs and hard copies of stuff. So I highly recommend folks buy it. If you see a movie that you like, old, new, mediocre, just buy the damn thing, because they're going to get rid of it. They're going to digitize it and then edit whatever they want to edit out. Get the original if you can. I think that's why I like the old Indiana Jones movies so much, is because they are so very close to the old serials and to, like you said, Nick and Nora. I mean,
Nick and Nora. It's like when we did North by Northwest. I had commented, this is the beginning of James Bond. So you start to see these things where a lot of the entertainment we watch today, where the writers took inspiration, because of course they did. Go back to the classics, and that's exactly what they are. They are classic. Yeah, I'm sure there's some turkeys out there. I guarantee it. But
there are bad movies that I've seen, but there's like Plan 9 from Outer Space is hands down a bad movie.
Yes,
but it's such a bad movie that I enjoy it. I absolutely love those bad movies.
Well, see, and that's interesting. When we first started this journey on the podcast, I absolutely despised Plan 9 from Outer Space. It was one of my most hated movies. But as time has gone, it has a place in my heart now. And it's, we do like bad movies. Rudy Ray Moore, he doesn't have a good movie, but he has entertaining movies, and that's what Ed Wood had, at least with Plan 9.
Yeah.
So
the Night of the Ghouls is good. Again, it's very cheap. It's poorly done. It's rushed. It's there. It comes with the heart. This movie has a ton of heart in it. I think it's got an hour and a half running time.
It
If
is
I'm
an
not
hour and a half.
mistaken,
Yeah,
hour and
hour
a
and a
half
half.
running time. There's some big names in it, character actors and actresses of the time. And I did notice one thing last night that I think I had noticed before, but it took like however many viewings of this I've done. They have one problem with their casting in this movie. The ex-wife and the girlfriend of Minot, the guy who's that disappeared, those two women looked so much
I got
alike.
so confused, dude. I was like, wait a minute, Mimi, and then the other one, and I was like,
but then it dawned on me, I know why they did it.
yes.
He was supposed to have broke up with his wife, but his type was a blonde like his wife. And this woman looks so much like the wife. And I was just like,
it makes
get
sense now.
why they did it.
Yeah.
I totally understand why they did it. But I think I would have changed something about the other blonde. I don't know what.
They looked so similar, dude.
So much like I got confused, and I kept getting confused watching this movie over the years. Like, no, wait a minute, was that the girlfriend? The guy? It was the wife? The guy? And I never figure out until he's got everybody at the dinner in the final inquest, if you will, and he's telling everybody who's doing what and why they're doing the bad thing. And
I love that whole part of these movies, you know.
And I think they do it like in every movie. If it's not a sit down dinner, it's everybody's in the room, and he's like, "Well, let me tell you how I know what happened."
And I love it. I love it. It's expected.
There is one movie where he has no clue, and I forgot which movie it is, but I've seen most of them. I don't know if I've seen all seven, but I know I've seen most of them. But there's one movie where he's doing the denouement. And everybody's in the room, and he's basically just guessing. He's got nothing. He has no fucking idea. He knows it's somebody that's in that room just because of the people that are involved. So he knows it's somebody in the room. But in this particular movie, he's just taking a wild guess. And when somebody pulls the gun, he's like, "Oh, it's you!" I had no idea.
Well, that's what.
Being 3 steps ahead of everybody by the time this movie comes out, when he finally has no clue, you're like, "Oh shit, he didn't know who the guy was."
That's great. And I can see that. I can see that going down because it's just the way they filmed that whole scene, because he would call somebody out and they would freak out and everything. And it just, I love it. There's so many unexpected moments in this movie. You know, so I bought the movie. I didn't rent it. I was like, you know what?
Thank goodness.
I was like,
I
always regret when I don't buy some of these. That I was like, shit, I should have just bought the thing. But it's listed on Apple TV as comedy, and it's like, and it is. I was like, I was, you know, because you worry about like, well, am I going to understand the vernacular of the time? Yes, you are.
They didn't do a whole lot of slang in this one.
No, there wasn't. There wasn't a lot of jive, you know. So it was well done.
I think the good thing about the older movies, even with His Girl Friday, when the thug is using the vernacular, he's using slang terms, you know what he's talking about because of the way he's talking and the way he's using the words. Like if he's talking about a gat or a strap or this or that, you know he's talking about a gun. You know he's talking about a knife. You know he's talking about fake money, the counterfeit money. You know he's talking about the mom, the old lady. It's all in the way he's using it. And that was the good thing about the old writers back then. They never left anybody hanging. Anybody could walk in, watch the movie, and if you didn't like the movie, fair game, you don't like the movie. But I'm not going to give you an obvious reason not to like the movie. You've got to dislike the movie for some BS reason, because this is a good, solid hour and a half, and it doesn't feel like an hour and a half.
No, it's good, man. It's
I tell you, there's not a better, in this time period, I don't think there's a better couple than William Powell and Myrna Loy. They are a power couple on and off screen. They were both friends. Like I said, they were old friends in real life. And I don't know how long they had known each other since before this movie, for sure. And to know that they were friends and they had that kind of chemistry on camera is fantastic.
Oh yeah, and that's so noticeable on. I don't care what time frame or anything. Anytime you watch anybody on screen, you can tell the people who know each other, who are friends and stuff, because there's a level of comfort, a level of ease. It's just, it seems natural. It doesn't seem like they're just reading lines or trying, it just fits. And it's one of those things that's just hard to describe. You see the people on screen, you believe them. You believe the story they're weaving, that, hey, we're a couple. And Myrna Loy and William Powell deliver the goods big time here. And I really adore this movie. It was good.
You will like any of the Thin Man movies. And I will tell you right now, you will like anything you see William Powell in.
I believe that.
Myrna Loy is one of my favorite actresses of this time period. Just simply because A, she's adorable, and B, she can do anything. She was another Jane Russell.
Mm-hmm.
But not as broady. Her being a broad was in a more classy.
Different, but both strong characters, but both expressed their femininity in a different way. So, and it was are different in there. So both two very strong female characters from the 30s. I love this.
How do you like whenever the wife is put in the cab and sent to Grant's tomb?
Grant's tomb.
And the cop's laughing. He's like, oh, and he's like, oh, she's going to kill me when she gets back.
The best part of that is the joke plays out when he's like, hey, sugar, how'd you enjoy the Grant's tomb? And she said, oh, I'm having one. I liked it so much. I'm having one built for you, or having something along those lines. It's like, oh my God.
But it doesn't stop there. It shows you how good of a couple that they are. She went and investigated. She's looking up shit and she's telling him what she found. And he's like, oh, really? You found that? It was something or in a place that he wasn't thinking or looking. Right. And she found it. And she's giving her old man the news that he needs. And he's like, oh, okay. Thanks, darling. And we'll see you tonight. And click, hangs up and him and the cops go off again.
That's one thing I noticed. Sometimes you'll have a male character be like protective of the women just because they're frail and everything. Mm-hmm. Not with Powell. He's protected of Myrna Loy because he loves her.
Yes.
He doesn't want anything happen to her. I don't know if that makes any, not just because, oh, it's a woman, I have to protect her. It's because you feel that. So it's very different when he's trying to keep her out of it, not because she's incapable. It's just because he doesn't want anything. Yeah. So he never talks down to her at any point. And that's what I really like.
But if everybody watching this movie realizes and remembers that he was a detective, he knows what could happen to her if anything goes south. That's why he hits her. Because he couldn't push
But it's so funny.
It's so funny. I mean, it is done in a very funny way, but that was the only way to get her out of the way in time for him to go and attack the guy. Because if he had pushed her, he'd have got a bullet right here.
Yeah.
Instead of it grazing him when he just knocks her and jumps. And when you realize this guy was a detective, he has dealt with vicious SOBs. That's why he's trying to help. Why that's right. He keeps telling her, no, honey, just stay here. I'll take care of it. But she keeps investigating with him.
Yeah.
He keeps getting rid of her, and she keeps going off and doing
They're a great team. They really are. Works well. Works really well.
My dog's doing in my background.
Just tearing it all up.
The whole universe is falling apart.
I highly recommend everybody go take a watch at this movie and anything with these two in it. I'm convinced they will be good in anything.
They are magic to watch. They really are. If anybody ever finds out about a theater in northern Florida, let me know if they're going to show any of these movies, because I would love to go see some of these.
Oh, that would be cool.
and see how they looked in the old days on the big silver screen.
Dude.
How magic would that be? That'd be great.
That would be awesome.
I absolutely adore these two. I love this movie. I love the entire series. I love anything with Powell in it. I love anything with Martin Loy in it. And the two of them tag teamed.
Jeez.
It's great. It's
very good.
If you like a romantic comedy or a romantic team, these guys are the two to get. They are just fantastic together.
Very cool.
My universe is falling apart.
Yeah.
My dog again.
so on that note, I would like to thank our new listeners and new subscribers, and thank you for the comments. And hit the like, hit the share, hit the subscribe. If you want us to talk about your favorite movie, just drop us a line, and we may or may not work it in. Just depends on if we'll see. But
depends on whether we can find it.
Yeah, it really absolutely does. But more than likely, we'll give it a shot. But just let us know what you want. And right now, again, I'll reiterate: do not sleep on the old ass movies.
No.
So on that note, we will catch you next week. And thanks again for joining us. Good night.
Thank you, folks. Good night.